Greetings and hello. The feminist movement is a hate movement against the male sex. It attacks and strips men of their humanity and rights. Men are not citizens of their countries, they are currently tools to be abused at the behest of women. In order to change this, feminists have to be kicked out of institutions and persecuted. Man hate should never be tolerated, and it is the dehumanization of men which leads to the misandric society we are in now. Feminism has always attacked men and is successful at stripping their rights away. Men now have next to zero rights at all thanks to the feminist hate movement. It has infiltrated all institutions including the government, the private sector and academia. This is what men are facing on a systematic scale. Oppression by man-haters who need to get kicked out pronto. There is simply no going your own way from feminism. It needs to be fought tooth and nail. Any excuse of quote, "I won't get into relationships," or "I will avoid women," or "enjoy the collapse," will get men nowhere. It is just sitting on your hands and doing nothing while feminists pass laws to take away your humanity. This is one of the many things that separate true men's rights activists from so-called MGTOWs. Excuses will only get us more marginalized as the man-haters will have more control than they do now. They are playing right into feminist hands. They segregate men so that they will be too uncoordinated and decentralized to fight the coordinated hate movement that feminism is. It is past time that men started getting together for the purpose of fighting for their rights and not coping. If you just want to sit back and watch, then do not complain when man-haters knock on your door to put you into an internment camp because they want to lock you up due to your sex. This is the same hate movement as the KKK, except it's worse. It has managed to infiltrate all areas of our lives: media, government, the workplace, and so many more. It is a whole-scale declaration of war against men. Men, do not let the enemy come closer to your doorstep. Organize with other men and start protesting to guarantee your basic human rights, and put the feminist hate movement in the same grave as the Nazis. If you want to end the forced androcide of men, which is euphemistically called conscription, fighting for your rights is mandatory. If you want to end the forced sexual mutilation of helpless boys, you have to fight for your rights. If you want to end the possibility of losing your livelihood and career due to a woman falsely accusing you, join the true men's rights movement, which is the PMC. Fighting for your rights as a man is not optional and will not happen by itself. Men need to organize as a whole and fight against the man-haters who want us suffering or dead because we are male. We need to start kicking out feminists from all positions if we want any semblance of equality for ourselves as a sex. Munching around internet corners complaining will not do anything. We need real-life action and men to raise awareness of our issues everywhere. If we do not, we are headed for a dystopia for men, which is 2 magnitudes times worse than the one we have now. And it starts with us removing the BS free speech concern trolls that ally with feminists and get serious about our goals. Jumping around the issue and saying stuff like, "Oh, this is just a pendulum phase which will swing back to men," or "women will realize how crazy feminism is and will go back to traditionalism," or "just watch the collapse bro," are all anti-male defeatist sentiments. What's more, they actively discourage men from getting their rights. These same statements are uttered by gynocentrists who see men as unimportant and do not want to help their fellow man. As shown by the many self-proclaimed MGTOW who actually want men to be enslaved under the other side of the feminist coin known as traditionalism. They are not fighting for our rights and instead attacking men who do, which makes them the same as the feminist man-haters trying to strip us of our rights, as they both work for the same team. Also, those worried about offending women can go bug off. Fighting for your rights as a human being is only offensive to those that hate you. So why are you pandering to people who want you suffering because of your sex? The answer is you have deep-seated self-loathing that you think can only be treated through female validation. This same mindset is what led to men having no rights in the first place. Pandering to women is what allowed feminism to become so powerful today. Feminism comes from women's true feelings about men. It was never about equality, as women always had more rights and privileges than men. It is about spiting and wanting to hurt the male sex through social dominance. So enablers of female social dominance do not belong anywhere near a pro-male movement. They are in the same vein as feminists, as they are attack dogs for them, going after men who genuinely want change, while having a confused look on their face as feminists strip away more of their rights. What the men's movement needs is men who are 100% non-gynocentric and dedicated to fighting the hate movement, which means never pandering to feminists through so-called free speech, or falling into their frame as weak MRAs do. Anything less, and the MRM won't be effective at all. This is why men's rights activists haven't had success in the past few decades. They pandered to feminists and were not willing to kick them out of their movement. Men worrying about so-called misogyny and being associated with angry bitter losers according to them, are just finding excuses to hate on other men, alongside feminists. They are a hindrance to the movement and will get nothing accomplished. In fact, they hurt our cause even more. Pro-men's rights spaces need to kick those people out and recruit actual pro-male men who support one another and do not berate other men for justifiably being angry that their rights are being taken away. The biggest men's rights spaces allow anti-male people to barge in and hijack discussions, which is an antithesis to men's rights. In order for the pro-male movement to be effective, feminists and other man-haters such as traditionalists have to be booted out on sight. We cannot allow man-haters into our movement as they have the same goals as the feminists: to marginalize and attack men. This is why the pro-male collective is strict with who it lets in. We cannot allow people who trample on our human dignity, as it is the very thing we are fighting against. Quality is everything. That is step 1. Step 2 is to spread our message to like-minded men. We need to recruit men who have pro-male sentiment, as we need numbers in our movement. The more pro-male men we have, the more likely our message is to spread successfully. This is the only way that we can start to gain a foothold and fight back against the hate movement, which is feminism. Step 3 is to turn the tide against our oppressors. We do this by persistently spreading men's rights propaganda and campaigning in real life and online in large numbers. The feminists will have the power of the institutions and government on their side, but we will have many determined men. Even a small group of determined men can cause a whole lot of havoc for the establishment. As our numbers grow, we will have to have many centralized groups that follow our ideals, so that we can be effective in many areas. Moving on to step 4, we will have amassed an unignorable quantity of pro-male men who will go into institutions and kick out and block feminists from ever entering them again. We will also vote pro-male candidates into office who will uphold our ideals and guarantee basic human rights for the male sex. We will start flipping institutions and removing their feminist policies from society. Feminists will begin scattering and cowering away as our movement takes hold in power. Step 4 will allow us to move on to the 5th and final step, which is jailing the man-haters, making sure they never step a foot into society as long as they express their dehumanizing views against men. We will guarantee that men have a safe and fair existence, and that men won't have to worry about their rights being taken away by people who hate them just for their sex. So as long as we get to this step, society will be fair and equal for men, as man-haters will not be allowed to spew their hatred, or they will be facing time behind bars. Whether this happens in 10, 50 or 300 years is not the question. What matters is that men start organizing now to fight for their rights as human beings. A coordinated pro-male movement is necessary if we want to secure equal rights and remove man-haters from power. Men need to organize and work together to effect change. And it starts by spreading the message of the pro-male movement far and wide, with all pro-male men getting their voices out.